be here.
Good, good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Enjoying the sun in Margate.
By the sea as well.
Yeah.
That's good. So a little bit about your background. So you run
Mhm.
a 6-8 agency for the last 8 years. Could you tell me a little bit more?
Sure. So yeah, my agency 6-8. What I do is I help food and drink brands turn their customers into a cult following. And I do that through the power of their story.
That was smooth, to the point.
Took me a long time before it would take me 10 minutes of umming and ahhing. Yeah. It was a process.
And that's probably down to what you're talking about. You could tell me exactly what your business in probably 1-2 sentences. I guess that's after a while you get used to it and you can trim it down and down so it's so smooth like that. Cool. Look, so you've received our bottles.
I have. I've been sitting in my fridge. I've been gagging to try them. So yeah, very excited to finally. I've been staring at me a week.
So what are your preconceived thoughts on the brand or the product before you try it?
So I mean, I tend to work with I only work with brands that really have a purpose and are trying to make the world a better place. So anyone that is doing that, I'm already going to connect with. So I thought I like the backstory. I thought that was interesting. I certainly connected with that. I think, Kev, maybe you and I might even be on a similar journey because we're both trying to sell the world on a problem they don't know they have. I don't know if you can relate to that. I certainly can. That's, my business, especially when I started. So I love that you've taken something really interesting that clearly you believe in and that you're just trying to get. I love that your journey of trying to putting it all on the line for something you believe in and that you're trying to put it into the world. So what I thought was, there's got to be something in here, because for this guy to just, obsessively go all in on this, there's got to be something special about this as well, for someone to care so much.
Cool. What are you expecting to taste from when you open the bottle?
Yeah, so I'm actually a bit alcohol free. This has changed my life a bit, as like most English people, I used to probably drink too much. And just having those alcohol free options has helped me massively cut down on my drinking. And there's some great options out there. So
What's your favorite so far?
I do have my favorite alcohol free. That's a good question. The best value one is in Tesco's at Erdinger for £1.50 a bottle, which I still think is a good bottle. I just saw there's another beer they actually called the name of their beer. Someone else said they could buy this for a fucking pound in Tesco's. And I was like, actually, yeah, that's pretty much, I was that guy. In terms of, I don't have a go-to. I have ADHD, which means that I don't do regular stuff. I'm always trying new things. I'd always be trying new, but there's definitely a lot of good ones. Unfortunately, the names have escaped me. So my expectations are, I think this is going to taste good, but it's going to be interesting. And as I said, I love big flavors. I love interesting things. Interesting can be good. It can just be interesting. So I
always find the word interesting a hard one to understand. It's either interesting, wow, this is really interesting, very exciting and very different and in a good way. And then all people use the word interesting as a very polite thank you, but not my thing.
Yeah.
And it's a hard one because every time, especially when you see it come via word, like when people write it in an email or just as a review online, when you see the word interesting, you cannot perceive if that's a good thing or a bad thing. And it's a very hard word to.
Yeah. So I'm going to say I'm coming at it with that it could be either of those interesting things, and I'm hoping it's going to be the interesting awesome rather than polite interesting. But I think interesting is good as well because it's still intriguing, right? Like it still intrigued me because I think, you see those ingredients in a beer that calls itself an IPA. with the kvass, I'm like, okay, I want to know more about this. This doesn't sound like what else is out there.
Okay. Do you want to crack the bottle open?
I would bloody love to.
Well, I'd just say it might be lively. I just want to be careful.
Okay.
There you go.
What do you mean by lively?
It goes a little bit crazy.
All right. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Because the flavour just rolls off you, right? So it is very interesting. I'm just going to talk you through the journey. It started, my first thing was like, oh, this really just tastes like a beer. Like my initial hit was of quite a beer taste. And then you let it sit. And then the other flavors start coming in. Like definitely getting the lime. I'm definitely getting, the avocado. There's some other stuff going on there as well, I think. No, you know what? I like it. I'm going to give it a Dan yes.
Okay. But, so I do this thing called Drink Advisor. So it's similar to TripAdvisor, but obviously we're tasting the drink. So could you give me a rating out of 5?
I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5.
And what would your headline comment be on your review?
If you want something different, try this.
Okay, cool. So do you get like you should get like a subtle aniseedy taste, which comes from the avocado leaves. Should be very subtle, but because avocados don't actually taste of anything, it's more like the creaminess. So the leaves give it like this aniseedy taste.
Yeah, now you mention it. Yeah, it's definitely, I think, part of the interesting stuff going on.
And yeah, so do you think it works? Is it?
I think it works. I think for me, I'd probably drink this with a meal. I think if I was having an interesting meal, I'd like with some interesting stuff going on, and if I'm in the mood for those interesting flavors, I think that would definitely, I could even see that in a restaurant where they suggest this would pair well with that. And it would be like, oh, I've just had this interesting meal. Oh, this is a really interesting drink to go with that.
So similar to what Annika said.
I probably, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. And because I think just for me personally, with that really interesting roll off the tongue, if I'm just sitting there having a beer, I think for me, it's almost, I'm not going to be in the mood for that kind of interesting flavor all the time. Sometimes I might think I might want something to touch. I mean, I love IPAs, they're very hoppy, but then I kind of might want that flavor to start, a little bit something cleaner if I'm just having a beer. But I think in the right moods, then you know what, because there's not, to be fair, there's nothing else. I've never had anything that tastes like this either, in a good way.
Yeah, I know it's very unique, and I think that's fine. I think this leads to what I wanted to talk about. You talk about finding a voice for a brand and communication, and this is where I've struggled for being an early brand, because not only is a kvass, which kvass isn't known in the UK, not only is it a different flavour combination, which you never see anywhere, it's got this unique flavour. It sits between a beer and a kombucha. I don't know if you drink kombucha.
I love kombucha, and I'm going to be honest with you. I actually forgot about all the bacteria gut stuff as well. So that would definitely be a plus sell for me. that, because it with those kinds of drinks is definitely one of the best tasting ones. If I'm comparing it to a kombucha, let's say, more than the beer. So I think it does actually hit that middle ground bit. And sometimes drink kombucha because I know it's good for my gut. So that's a big plus for me.
So I'm trying to find my way on communicating this product, because it's so different and unique in terms of it doesn't really sit anywhere, but it's finding its own path.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm trying to tease with a few different sayings and just testing the water at this early stage to see where I can go with it. Because I believe it could become quite popular and quite addictive, that different taste.
Yeah. I mean, I think the key thing for that is to keep, like you're doing, is to double down on the people probably that are like giving you 4 or 5 and love it, and just to see what the common patterns are between them of what they say, and that's what you, then I go all in on that. Because the problem is there's quite a few different messages that you have, and if you try and say them all, it's going to get confusing. So I think there's one that you need to double down on, which could be the taste. It could be that it's a kvass, that it's good for the gut, and it's something that the one that resonates the most with people, which probably is. I think overall, I think it would be its flavor. It's a unique flavor, and it's alcohol free, and it's also, oh, and by the way, it's actually good for your gut as well.
Because you've got the first a bottle from the first production. So we've recently tweaked our labels going forward. So we're going to be more focusing on the low alcohol sides than the good gut at the moment. It's just, I wanted to put all 3 on to see which come back more interesting from people. I think now I sort of got a few tastings behind my back and a few comments behind. I think I'm going to go start off with low alcohol side and then start bringing in the other elements further down the line.
And I guess it's for people that sort of care, maybe I don't know, the people that really care about sort of kombucha and fermented drinks, it could be interested to know what they think as well, like how, because I reckon they could be super, and they could be maybe in some ways they might be your super passionate brand lovers that are going to really take your brand to the next level.
I don't know if you're a fan of Gary V, but something I've heard of the other day. He says a lot of good stuff. For some stuff, he says it's a little too out there for me. So I heard him say something the other day which intrigued me, and I thought it's good to bring up with you today. A lot of people nowadays focus on building a community, and I think it's very important to build a community. But being such a young brand, we need to build a customer base first before building a community. How do you think I should navigate that going forward? Like, should I be just trying to build a community, but then would building community build a solid customer base, or do I need to build a solid customer base to build a community?
I'd say for me, the two are, you can't separate one from the other. I mean, it's the whole sort of foundation of what I do, is that actually that community that doesn't have to be everyone in the beginning. That community is who is going to love me most, which is, again, just trying to find out now. Just if it was me, I'd be obsessed with who are those people that really love this more than anyone else. What's everything that they're into and they stand for? Because you can't just be talking about like buy my beer all the time. Like, what are the other things I can talk about that they're going to connect with? And what are the things I can do? Like, a lot of those customers, you'll win one by one. Like, even just talking this through with you, like, I'm already getting more attached to it, And so you've just got me into your community, because I'm suddenly like, I know a lot more about Kev now. So I would just look at it as building customers one by one, and each one trying to do as much as you can to get them on board and love you, whether it's through just speaking to them and conversations, through telling a story that they're going to emotionally connect with, because you've got an amazing business story that's ongoing by sharing that, because people are going to connect with that. And I mean, for me, community just means really just how much do people like. A community is people that love you. So it's just like, how can I get people? What are the ways that I can get people to love me? Which is by doing good for the world, which you're doing, and making that clear, by sharing a story, and just by those little human touches you can do. And I wouldn't worry about going big. I think you need to focus on those. They call it 1,000 true fans. Just getting to 1,000 people that love you, that are going to love you more than anyone else. And then that is the bedrock. And then I think things will go very quickly from there. If that makes sense.
You talk about brand story, and when I first started doing this, well, I used to have a bread company before, and I stumbled across this book I was given for Christmas called Brand Story from Donald Miller. I don't know if you heard.
I've got strong opinions on that. Yep, I'm very familiar with that.
So what do you think the 3 key things are when you tell a brand story?
So
and what's your opinion on Donald?
So the Donald Miller is definitely a part of it, and I've incorporated like Donald Miller. So just for anyone listening who does know, Donald Miller's whole thing is, it's not about your story, it's about your customer's story, because ultimately customers don't care about you, they only care what's in it for them. And I think a lot of people don't think like that, and I think I totally subscribe to that. It's almost, let's say it's 50% of the story that I help to tell. Because then I think it's almost that, it's just that question that comes back to everything is, what's in it for a customer? Why would a customer care? And what can they see themselves in what you're communicating? Can they see themselves in it? Can they see their frustrations, their pain points, their dreams, their desires? You know, and are you the person to get them from pain to happiness? You know, and it won't be for everyone as well. However, my issue is, it's actually very hard to do that. Like, that means essentially you're just constantly talking about customer success stories, you know, and you can't, if your Instagram was just photos of people like me, like going, hey, yeah, I love beer, you know, oh, before I was trying to search for an alcohol-free beer, like, it will get, for me, it's not enough. Like, it's 50%. It's an important 50%. The other 50% of the story is how you tell a human story. And what that means is just looking about your product in a very dry, informational way, which is essentially buy my shit. You know, that's what most food and drink brands is like. Here's my product, I'm launching in Waitrose, buy it. You know, oh, it's made with avocado. You know, there's a list of ingredients in it. Like, people don't connect with that. So you've got to get the elements, which I know you've asked me for 3. So I'd say the Donald Miller, focus on your customer. You see, I've got a 6-step framework just to confuse things. But I just to give you a couple of, like, share your business journey, share your beliefs, share the things, beliefs, like things you feel very strongly about, and share your passions, share the stuff you're interested in the wider world of drinks. And that alone, there's more, but like, as an example, those are things that people, suddenly you're not just a brand talking to customers, you're a human who believes in things, who stands for things, talking to other humans, and they will connect with that. Not everyone, but your true brand lovers will connect with that a lot more, rather than if you're just listing the ingredients in your drink all the time.
Cool. And thirdly, so you mentioned your nickname's Dodger. So and that you're good at tags. So you noticed that I sponsored.
Used to be.
I used to.
Very, yeah. It's been about 30 years ago. Yeah.
Oh well. I'm sure you might.
Maybe I still got it. Yeah.
So what part of what I did with World Toast Tag is that the only thing that captured you, or is it because I did something so left wing, out there, different, that I don't see many other brands doing?
So one of the biggest things for me is to be a brand that is telling a great story, to be a human brand, you've got to do things to live your value. So by the fact you were such an early brand, but you were like, actually, I'm trying to support other people that I believe in. He's definitely doing something right there. Because for me, that's a really key thing, is not just talking about stuff on Instagram, is actually I'm doing things. This is like the thing, those small human things you do that compound over time. So I thought that was interesting. And like, if you genuinely care about it, it just depends. Normally I find those things are good if it's a way for you to share your values. So if you share the same values as you, that makes it a bit more logical. If it's just something you're passionate about, then sure, you know, why not? It's fun. and it's interesting, but things like that could be more powerful if you link how that is matched to your values, and how you're trying to bring your values into the wider world.
I've never heard of this before, and it's only brand new sport. I stumbled across it because I was watching a little bit of American TV, and I saw this chase tag, and I thought, that's unique. I'm a unique brand. Let's be funny.
Yeah.
Let's create my own team. So I reached out to this guy and said, look, can you come on the team with me? We'll create one. Actually, he was captain of one of the best teams, and actually the captain of the player who was on the advert on the American TV. So it was a very, very crazy connection. And I actually funded it myself. I sponsored the team out of my personal wealth. It's a lot of money. Probably better spent elsewhere, but I believe it's given me a better, like, another segment to the business, so I can keep on coming back to. And the parkour people seem to be similar customers I would like to consume my drink. So those people who take care of their bodies, who aren't drinking too much alcohol, who are pushing themselves to be better people.
So because then I think you can make this more powerful by linking, because you've just sort of explained the values and just saying that you're demonstrating how you do your values. So it's like you're connecting with these people who are healthy people, who are living, who care about what they put into themselves, but also not quirky, but they're different. I'm supporting people that are different, that are doing things that might not be for like, I think, because this isn't going to be for everyone, like, straight up, but for the people it's for, it's really going to be for. And it's you demonstrating how you support others that are doing that are supporting something that's not for everyone, who are brave. I'm sure they were brave trying to set that up, or maybe had the piss ripped out of them, like, tag, isn't that for children, but they're sticking to their ground and they're making it something. So I think that could sit well. And then as you progress, you can keep supporting more people that are doing things like that. There may be something around health, or people that are just making their own path, or doing stuff that other people might think are crazy. And it's just, again, you're showing your beliefs and your values, and you're standing by them. Like, I just, you telling me that, like, I connect with that. All right, that's cool.
Oh. Right, I've got a few questions I like asking. So these might be very, again, left field questions, and
I'm getting used to that now, don't worry.
You probably do not know where the hell this is going, but just roll with it. So is there something that you are bitter about currently that you hope to resolve, and how do you plan to go about it?
Something I'm bitter about. No, I mean, up to recently, I'd say, like you, getting my business off the ground was a challenge, but it's turned the corner. So that's made, like, that's taken a massive weight off my shoulders. Something I'm bitter about. Yeah, you know what? I think the state of the world, maybe. I think it feels like the UK is falling apart, and I feel quite powerless about that. It's like food banks is, like, they're calling the fourth emergency service. So that's making me a bit angry and frustrated that there's just watching England fall apart.
Cool. We redefine the term IPA. So instead of it being Indian Pale Ale, it's an ideal plausible alternative. So if you could choose to redefine anything, what would it be and why?
If I could choose to redefine anything, it might be a boring answer. I get very frustrated just seeing the state of social media and how people communicate, and just kind of what it's coming down to. And I just wish that everyone would go on social media and give value. And I'd love to redefine how people are and why they communicate, rather than just it being such a fear, anxiety ridden place. I'd like to make it a happy place.
So are you a fan of brunch?
Yes.
So what would you choose to order food and drink wise if you were going out for brunch?
For a brunch?
Yeah.
It would depend on my level of hangover that I have reached these days. But I quite like anything interesting. People doing interesting things with eggs. So whack some nduja on it, some chili oil on, or just some eggs Benedict is great. With a nice coffee and orange juice. I'm good with that. Nice bit of protein and fat. It's my kind of brunch.
Cool. And what do you think of our biggest USP is?
I think a USP is it's a low alcohol beer that tastes unlike any other. It's a no alcohol beer. Sorry, it's an alcohol alternative that tastes that doesn't taste like anything else.
Cool. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. No, thank you. No, I've been actually really enjoying sipping this. As I've been sipping more on this, it's been growing on me more as I've been. So I'm converted.
Cheers. Cheers.